JJ Johnson. You're watching Reality Survival. And today I just wanted to talk with you about, what do we got here? I've got some notes down here. I guess it's 15 tips for, how to avoid becoming a victim of human trafficking. And the reason that I'm doing this is there's been a lot of hubbub and social media posts and stuff about people trying to, be kidnapped in Walmarts and taken for, sex trafficking, and our children being snatched and different things like that. And so I thought maybe it would be good to talk about this. These tips are really pretty well applicable to any kind of personal defense situation. These are kind of, some ground rules, but some of the ones that I have at the end are more specific towards human trafficking. With that, we'll go ahead and get started here. Like I said, I think I've got 15 tips, and I've got some notes down here just to kind of keep me straight on it. So the first one, and these are not really in any particular order, these are just things that are good to do all the way around, and any one of them could be the most important depending on the situation. So number one is maintain situational awareness, and especially during your transitions. Now, I've done a video on this called the 3 stages of vigilance, and if you guys want, I'll put a link down in the description below. If you guys want to check that out, go ahead and do that. But the key part about that is that you really need to maintain situational awareness at a more heightened level during your transitions. So check that video below as well once this one's over with, and that'll kind of explain that a little bit more in depth. You want to keep your head out of your phone. Look around, look into people's eyes, show them that you see them. Don't just have your head down in your phone and all that kind of stuff. That's just one of the basics. The next one, number 2, is walk with a purpose. Have your head up, your shoulders back, look like you're ready for a fight. And if possible, you want to try to keep your hands empty as much as you can. Obviously that's going to be kind of difficult sometimes when you're shopping and different things like that. But if you can take a shopping cart or something like that and not have to carry stuff in your hands, that's better. You can also use the shopping cart to keep between you and somebody else if they were trying to get to you or whatever. But having your hands free and not full of packages and stuff is going to allow you to get to some of your self-defense items and stuff like that a little bit quicker. So, all right, number 3 is take a self-defense class or classes on a regular basis. Preferably study some kind of martial art like boxing, kickboxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, those kinds of things. And the kind of martial art that I think is the best is the one that actually has you sparring physically with another person, okay? Because if you miss out on that aspect, you're really missing out on a lot of training value. And people who take these kinds of martial arts are not frequently victims of crimes like that, because it does something to change your awareness and to change your body posture, your confidence, and all those kinds of things that make you not look like a victim. Okay, the next one is carry a bright flashlight. It doesn't necessarily have to be this one. This is the R50 Seeker. Just recently did a review on it. But any kind of good, bright flashlight so that you can can turn it on and shine into dark areas or areas, maybe behind vehicles or whatever the case may be. Any place where you're having a hard time seeing, maybe you think you see something back there but you're not sure, have that flashlight out and just be able to check it. And that's also signaling people that are watching you, hey, this person's alert. They're looking around. She's gonna see us. She's gonna shine that light on us. She's gonna know what we look like. Those kinds of things are going to make that criminal pass you by and wait for somebody else, most likely. Obviously, depending on the shape and size of it, if it has like a crenulated bezel on it, you may be able to also use that flashlight, as an impact weapon if they were to attack you or whatever. And that, doesn't feel good, especially with some of the weaponized type lights with the really, big crenulated bezels on them. I'll roll a picture in here of one of those. Okay, so the next one is carry a folding tactical knife. Even women, you should have a knife on you at all times, in my opinion. And it doesn't have to be a big and heavy duty one. Okay. I've been recently carrying this, CRKT, I think it's the CRKT Crossbones. Yeah, it's dirty as heck because I use it all the time. But even a knife like this it's slender and it fits into your pocket easily, even in women's jeans and whatnot. It would be no big deal to get into your pocket. But a knife like this could be used for defense. It's going to be able to use to keep people away and stuff like that. Just understand that a knife is categorized as a lethal weapon, and it's very easy to inflict lethal damage with one. But you need to know how to use it. You know how to practice opening it quickly, and you need to know how to use it in a defensive situation if that's all that you had. Now, as you'll see in some of the other points, I also recommend having some other things. So the next one is carry some sort of less than lethal kind of thing, like pepper spray, or a taser, or maybe one of those, like tactical umbrellas. I had a video on those that I showed you guys one time. They've got some really tough umbrellas out there that you can just lay a walloping on some people with. But the thing is any one of those devices, pepper spray, baton, taser, whatever the case may be, you need to practice with them. You need to know how to employ them. You need to know where you're going to carry them, where it's legal to carry them, what age you can carry them with, and all that. So it does take some research on your part to know what your state laws are. But they can be a great deterrent, and they can definitely come in very handy when it comes to a situation like someone trying to take your child, or someone even trying to kidnap you, or something along those lines. Okay, number 7. Get a concealed carry license and carry a firearm. Plain and simple. I believe that every responsible citizen who can own a firearm should carry a firearm. But that takes some responsibility on your part. You need to know how to carry it correctly. You need to be trained on it. And I think you should train on it monthly as a minimum. You also need to know your state's use of force laws. Some states require you have a duty to retreat. Other states, you can stand your ground. And other states have the Castle Doctrine, and the Castle Doctrine applies differently in different states depending on where you are and those kind of things. So I can't cover all that in this video, but you need to know what your concealed carry laws are and your use of force laws are in your state. Okay, now we're getting a little bit more into the human trafficking aspect and the things that really focus more on that. And before we go any further, I do want to say that a lot of people kind of tend to think that, oh, this isn't really a problem or whatever. And as a general rule, violent crime in the United States has been going down. However, worldwide, human trafficking has been going up. We currently have anywhere from 22 to 30 million people in sex slavery positions basically right now, or human trafficking positions where they're being forced into doing either manual labor or sex trafficking type jobs. And that is considerably more than the slave trade ever was back during the 17, 1800s. I think 4 million or so, 5 million was the peak back then. Now, we've had a population explosion and there's more people on the planet and all that kind of stuff, but still, that's a lot of people, 22 to 30 million people worldwide. So the point is that it's becoming a problem, and it's good to be aware of these things. So number 8 is be especially wary in nightclubs, especially in resort towns. And in those areas, you want to pay particular attention to dark parking lots, driving in bad parts of town. Resort areas, places where kids are going to spring break, college-age kids and stuff like that. Those are prime target locations for young, especially attractive females and whatnot, to get caught up in these kinds of rings. Number 9 is when you're out at a bar, keep control of your drink. Now, it may seem like common sense, but the prevalence of being roofied and those kinds of things has gone up. It's a popular thing for people to do, and you really want to watch out for it, because those types of date rape drugs are readily available. You want to make sure that you're not leaving your drink sit unattended while you go dancing or anything like that. If you can, drink from a bottle. Keep your thumb over the top of it when you're out. I had a situation where my wife and I were out one time at a little resort town in New Jersey, and she got roofied. And she was with me, and I was watching and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't see it happen. And so my point is even when you're being vigilant, it can happen. You need to be very aware that definitely don't let people buy you drinks and let them have access to it before between where it comes from the bartender and to you, because that is just a recipe for getting roofied. Okay, let's see here. All right, number 10 is don't drink to excess. Obviously, a person who is really inebriated, very drunk, is going to be a person who is way more vulnerable, because you don't have control of your faculties and all that stuff. A couple of things to help you with that is make sure you eat before you drink. Alternate one alcoholic drink for 2 glasses of water before you have another alcoholic drink. And always try to go out with at least 3 people if you can. A group of 3 people is a lot more formidable than just 2. 2 is fairly easy to split up. And if there's multiple people in the group of bad guys, they can split you up fairly easily, and you may not even know where the other person is. If you've got at least 3, it makes it a little bit more difficult, and you're a little bit more secure that way. Okay, number 11, don't use recreational drugs, period, but especially from unknown suppliers, especially, again, when you're out on vacation or out in nightclubs. It's very common for these kinds of drugs to be laced and or not what they initially say that they are. Number 12, never get into a vehicle with someone that you just met. This is a huge mistake that people will make, because they say, oh, the guy's really nice, and so he's going to take me home. Don't worry about it. I'll meet you guys at the hotel later or whatever. And then they never end up arriving. Okay, getting into a vehicle is a recipe for disaster. Call an Uber, do a taxi or a Lyft or whatever the case may be. But don't get into a vehicle with somebody who you just met and you don't know. Okay, number 13. And this kind of goes back to a little bit when I was talking about never allow young girls between the ages of 15 and 23 to travel alone. They are the highest risk category of people who can be inducted into the human trafficking. And they're not the only ones. Young boys and stuff are at risk as well, but they only make up, I think it's 20 to 30% of the total human trafficking population. Girls make up the vast majority of it. So don't allow them to travel abroad alone. I see people do this all the time. They let their kids travel in school groups and stuff like that to foreign countries and whatnot. Personally, I would never do that. Now, if you have and you made the choice and maybe everything went fine, that's your call. But for me, that is just too much risk. So I'll leave it at that. Let's see. The number 14 is avoid vacation places that have recently experienced civil war, ethnic cleansing, or mass genocide. And the reason I say this is because these are the types of locations where the sex trafficking stuff is most prevalent. If you look at the State Department website, state.gov, they will offer travel advisories for different countries. And if it says reconsider travel on the website, I would highly recommend that you reconsider travel, because those are the places that are, there's a very limited amount of legitimate authority that is not corrupt, and it's very easy for criminal enterprises to operate in those locations because of all the instability. So those places are at even higher risk than other, places with a more standard and what's the word I'm looking for? More established authorities and, those kinds of things. So watch for those places that have a lot of turmoil recently, especially, like I said, military coups, civil wars, genocides, those kind of things. Stay away from those countries. And number 15 is, it kind of goes along with this one, is avoid areas that are in economic crisis. And that would be third world countries. It's really for the same reasons. Those places just don't have good civil authorities, and it's easy for criminals to operate in that area. So anyway, guys, that is my top 15 tips for how to avoid being a victim of human trafficking. Like I said, a lot of these really just apply. They're a lot of common sense. They really just apply to personal self-defense and situational awareness and all that kind of stuff. But I would love to hear from you guys. What tips could you add to this list that you think would be important for people when they are traveling abroad, or even when they're out here, in the United States and that kind of thing? So I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say in the comments below. As always, guys, I definitely appreciate it when you click the thumbs up button, when you share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. And don't forget to live the 6 Ps. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. Stay safe, guys.